What up? What up? It's your boy Vinny Dangerous. I am back with another installment of 1430 Live. We are live tonight. And full disclosure, I was not going to go live today. I'd been going hard since 2024 started. Uh have had a guest on every week, whether live or pre-recorded. I appreciate anybody's patience with that. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do the pre-recorded thing. It kind of worked out because we were promoting the show at the Poorhouse. Shout out to you if you pulled up to the Poorhouse. I really appreciate y'all being there for an amazing show that me and the homies Eddie Lowe, Shane, aka Mad Honey, Camus, the homie Pro, the homie Malibu P, pulling up, being part of the show, being part of this show the whole month of February to build up to that, and yeah, doing a solo stream because didn't have anybody planned and I didn't plan on doing an episode up until Friday because we are here today to talk about K Dot, Kendrick, Mr. Duckworth himself, deciding to take on, like, send a direct shot to Drake and J. Cole. And before we get started, I'm excited. Like, this is the only reason why I decided to do this. It ain't even really because of no algorithm type of shit or just strictly doing it for the content. This right here is the energy that hip hop has been needing for a good little bit. Like, I almost wished this this was 2023 during the 50th anniversary of hip hop. I wish this would have happened last year just because it was what hip hop needed all year. Cause it was, I mean, you've if anybody just watched any of the videos, whether you watching this on YouTube or you're watching it live on Twitch, like, that I have been talking shit about the state of hip hop um pretty much all year just because of how, like, lacking in energy it was. And one of the things I was going to talk about on another episode, but just didn't have any, plan on how I was going to do it. But I was going to talk about something that I came across that I thought was pretty interesting. That kind of really does tie into the feeling because, like, usually when this kind of, like, conversation around artists, even artists that are battling, like, it's always it's always on the other petty shit. Like, it's never really about the music. And, like, so that's why I love this kind of stuff. You know, I love the kind of energy that this stuff is putting out. Before we get started, I just had a few things. One, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing an episode this week for a multitude of reasons. One, because, I've been starting to tease the release of the album. I've been mentioning it, in spurts, while it was in progress, after it was finished, announced at the Poorhouse show that it was coming out April 30th. More will be revealed, but keep an eye out on Instagram. Keep an eye out on my main YouTube channel, Vinny Dangerous. Both will be linked in the description when this goes out. But if you're watching this on Twitch, um, it's at Vinny Dangerous, VINNIE, Dangerous, all one word, no spaces, no dots, no nothing, just all one word. And the same thing, you can find me, Vinny Dash Dangerous, on YouTube. You can find the main channel. Like I said, I will leave it in the description if you're watching the replay on YouTube after the live. Um, but yeah, like, I'm trust me, the announcement, the music, everything will be out sooner than later. Like, I'm finally to that point where It's not just a little bit of conversation. Like the ball is really about to start rolling. So if you want to be a part of that as it unfolds, like be there for the journey before we get to the destination, make sure you follow me on those two platforms in particular. I'll definitely be talking about it here. I'll definitely be talking about it on places like Threads or Facebook fan page, but Instagram and YouTube is definitely where like the where you should keep your eyes at the most. Like I promise you, those are places where I'm gonna keep my focus. So that was number one. Number two, I've been contemplating on whether or not I was gonna keep the show on Twitch, and I've gotten a few followers since I started doing live streams, but I just know that YouTube is kind of a little bit better for like this kind of content. Like I know Twitch is really a gaming platform. Conversations can be had. I just don't understand how to grow. Like I will say I fucked up. I did forget. I didn't know. Like I said, I don't really know Twitch like that. So I didn't know that I had to like change a setting on the chat. Like my wife actually showed me what I needed to do after our live stream, uh, talking about the greatest night in pop documentary that we had a discussion about. That was a really good episode too. Like I really loved doing that episode with her. Uh, but she showed me that because I had a lot of people complain, like they were saying like, oh, you can't, uh, comment unless you have a Twitch platform, and that told me two things. That told me one, a lot of people that are watching the show or trying to watch the show are not on Twitch. They're from YouTube or Instagram, and they may not be the type of people that get on Twitch. And two, I don't know what I'm doing because I did not realize that. I thought that was just how Twitch worked. I didn't know that you didn't have to be a person on Twitch to comment on the live stream as it's happening. So, just let me know, either in the chat or on the comments of YouTube when this goes up. Make sure you let me know how you feel about that. I still might be doing Twitch, but just doing it for more like I'm not really big of a gamer, but there are some games that I would be willing to get on a live stream to play. Maybe doing some, production. Like I've been getting back into making beats since I finished the album, so I'm getting back into making beats. So like maybe just live stream whenever I am making a beat or mixing or putting a song together. I don't really know yet, but that's just kind of where I'm at with it. So just let me know how you feel about 1430 staying on Twitch and then going on YouTube. Because right now the schedule is Sunday live stream, Monday the full replay goes up on YouTube, and then the rest of the week I'll throw up some shorts, little clips, little interesting clips, coming from the podcast, and it just kind of repeats after that. Uh, but let me know how you feel. I might just go live on YouTube, uh, then just do the clips. Just do the clips after that. Let me know how you feel about Sunday being a day. Like I'm not married to Sunday being the day that I live stream. So if you would prefer, or like, hey, I like Sundays is my days. I don't really tune in to shit because I notice I don't really get a lot of people viewing it live, but I definitely do get a lot of people that tune in to the replays on YouTube and the shorts, especially. It gets a lot of views. So yeah, let me know how you feel about that because I'll definitely like some feedback. But now, admin out the way, let's talk about this beef shit. First, let me just preface this by saying I only like rap beef as long as nobody getting beat up, as long as nobody is getting killed. We don't need another Pac and Biggie situation. We don't need any more rappers like dying. Then we don't need no more rappers going to jail. We don't need no more rappers getting shot, wounded, injured, getting jumped. I don't want none of that shit. So everything that I'm saying about my excitement and my feeling about this is strictly on some rap shit. And like dissecting Kendrick's verse because before I got on the live stream, honestly, all weekend, like I've been listening to this thing on repeat to just catch all the little references and stuff like that. Like there's some very overt things, and then there's also some ones that you really got to dive into and kind of think about. And a lot of people kind of make fun of the people, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or wherever. Like they post these videos and they'll dissect it. Uh, dissect these bars, and like people think that they're going over the top or like overthinking it. But being a fan of Kendrick, being somebody that's followed his catalog for a little bit, like I could definitely see some of this being true. Like some of it, I'm not 100% sure on. I ain't gonna cast doubt on the meaning of a lot of these bars, but I've really been sitting down and dissecting it, and that's no, I can start there. That's one of the things that I love about this. I love that. For first of all, it wasn't anything like super personal. It wasn't anything that was we ain't talking about families. We ain't talking about anybody dead. We ain't bringing up no like real personal shit. Like this ain't no like all bets is off. I'm going after everybody. I'm going like there's nothing off limits type of shit. Which you know I'm always one of the components when it's like real beef. Even in this situation, this is like the first shot. This might go a little further. So I'm not saying that that won't come up, but I've always been the component. Like I've always been somebody that has always said that there's nothing really off limits when it comes to this stuff. Now, whether or not it's received well is another thing, because at the end of the day, it's about trying to get the best reaction out of the audience. Like you could have the better bars and the better comebacks, but if it's something that's just kind of felt like it was too much, or like people kind of look at it more like instead of a then like it ain't gonna work in your favor. But I don't believe nothing's off limits when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's because like you're trying to win. You're trying to win. I've never been the guy that like compares hip hop to sports. Never been the one to like, there's always these people that's, and I'm kind of getting, as I'm getting older, and like I'm kind of getting into the realm of this competitiveness can be a little bit of a detriment, but because of the status of a Drake, of a Cole, of a Kendrick, like when it comes to how they're viewed in hip hop, like the generation that they came from and the generation that they grew up on. Like I think it's just like you want to be the best, like the idea of who the best is, and like being and having that like definitive perception, right? Like I might not care about it anymore at this point in my career, but these guys are in a position to where they do care. They do care about this. Like when Drake's For All the Dogs album was negatively received, I always wondered like why is this guy so upset at a Anthony Fantano or a Joe Budden or a Charlemagne when they are critical of the album or some of the songs on the album? And even though like this guy will go number one and he'll stay number one for like weeks and be the highest selling one of the highest selling artists all year, like I always wonder why this he still let a few people on the internet are respectfully like big platforms, but are still like it's not hindering his success at all. And it's because there's still like that hunger, that idea to want to be viewed as number one in all aspects. Like you're number one on Billboard, but you also want to be like the number one guy. What confuses me is that For All the Dogs don't sound like an album that somebody puts together when they want to be critically lauded, especially for a guy like Drake who could really do no wrong at this point. Like, arguably, he's been putting out some of the worst music of his entire career these last couple years, and but still like is massively successful. So I don't understand why this guy like cares so much when people say CLB was trash. Honestly, never mind, was terrible. For All the Dogs was bloated, and it just wasn't that entertaining of a listen. Other than the shit that Joe Budden was talking about him talking to 21, 20, these young girls basically, and him being upset about that. Like I can understand that to a certain level, but as far as like, Anthony Fantano just said it was whack, and gave it a low score, and he was in his DM talking crazy. Or Charlemagne was talking about how the single with SZA was just kind of here and gone, like nobody really cared, and he had a lot of things to say online about Charlemagne after that. So I always wondered, but there's just that little part of him that Drake has always been a rap fan. So being like a real hip hop head, like deep down, even if he doesn't make that type of music anymore, deep down, he's still a guy that prides himself as a lyricist, prides himself as an MC. And it's going to be very interesting to see the type of approach he takes with this, because Kendrick isn't Pusha T. Like one of the things, like honestly, in 2018, the Pusha T beef really should have ended Drake. If we're really being honest, I thought it was over for him. Everything from the blackface on the cover, the the pointed bars about like you're hiding a child, let that boy come home, talking about like his family dynamic leading up to that, the lines about 40, like it just felt like the perfect type of track. Like the fact that he used the story of OJ, the instrumental, and with the album cover, knowing how that ties into the concept, it's just it's impressive. Like, and it's impressive that his career still, you know, still kind of chugged along. Like there's some people that felt like he was a little hurt by it, the fact that he lost that battle so decisively, but it didn't diminish his numbers. It didn't diminish his star power at all. I mean, I think Scorpion still went on to do crazy numbers or something like that, like shortly after that diss song. And hold on one second. I got a message that just came through. It's pretty important. All right, tax season. Got to get these taxes done. Um, but yeah, no, and I feel like a big part of why that battle with Pusha T didn't do Drake in like it probably should have is that his his biggest defenders are like, oh well, Pusha T's not big enough. Like the only reason why Drake kind of got past the reason why Drake kind of got past that beef with Pusha T as easily as he did, even as as big of a blow the story of Adidon should have done in his career. The only reason why he got out of that position unscathed is because his biggest defenders said that, oh, well, Pusha T's not big enough. And if we're just talking about star power, we're talking about, accolades, records sold, stuff like that. Like, I guess you could say that would be the only thing that would shield Drake from like being permanently taken out. Kendrick isn't Pusha T in that regard, in the fact that Pusha T is somebody that I'm fucking losing my point. Like that the taxes thing kind of threw me off for a second. Let me rewind it. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is the only reason why the beef with Pusha T and the story of Adidon did not destroy Drake is because his biggest defenders said that Drake is bigger, too big for Pusha T. And if we're talking about relevancy in the vein of like Pusha T's uh prime, so to speak, or he came out, let's just say he came out way before Drake came out. And the fact that they're not kind of the same era. And you're talking about accolades and records sold and uh number ones. Like, yeah, if you go look at it like that, then yeah, Drake is bigger than Pusha T. But Kendrick is not Pusha T in that regard because other than like having number one records like singles and stuff, like Drake and Kendrick are on the same level. Like Kendrick has, I mean, he's pretty much gone like number one with every album that he's put out since Good Kid, Mad City. Let me look that up actually. Kendrick number one albums. And you know what? Yeah, I probably changed up the screen and shit, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. All right, yeah. So we about to look at this real quick. So yeah, how many albums does he have? Uh, okay, these are all just singles. He only got two number one songs. And I mean, just like I said, I really don't give a shit about this at all. But let's just say, like Kendrick is up there when it comes to like critical acclaim, accolades, and stuff like that. To a Drake, like Drake may have more number one hits. Kendrick got more Grammys. Uh, Discography wise, it's not even close. If we're just talking about like major label releases, Kendrick is like I'd probably say like 4 for 4. The only one that's a little questionable would be Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and even that one, I guess as a full body of work, I would say that's probably Kendrick's worst album, and his worst album is still better than a lot of Drake shit. Like from top to bottom, conceptually, as a complete body of work, like yeah, it's not even close. So he can't hide behind I'm too big for this. He can't hide behind I'm the bigger artist, I'm more famous, I'm more successful, because you're talking about a guy like there's a reason why on first person shooter you let J. Cole say we're the big three. Kendrick, Cole, and Drake. There's a reason why you let him say that on your record, because you know that this guy is neck and neck with you. He's eye to eye with you. This is like I would arguably say like this is the closest thing to like a Jay Z and Nas type of situation, and I'm only saying that in regards to like two guys that are like literally on the same level, from the same era, like came up around the same time, have comparable careers enough to where a battle is exciting. Like I can't really think of too many before that. Like maybe a 50 in job, but a 50 in job was more so like some street shit. Like as far as it being like just me and you, who is the better MC? I can't really think of anybody else to this level that I can like really sit here and compare like the this person versus this person. Like, and I don't know, maybe Meek and Drake, but Meek and Drake was too one sided at that point. And even at that point, even though they came up around the same time, like you couldn't really say that Meek Mill was on Drake's level when it comes to success, when it comes to like how where they are in the pecking order. Like you really couldn't say that. Even with the success that Meek had under his belt under that point. You really couldn't say that Meek was, as far as stature, like, and especially in 2015, like that was Drake's probably biggest year overall. Like from, if you're reading This Is Too Late, the Meek beef, his collab album with Future, like that was Drake's biggest year. So it, yeah, I would, so this is probably like the closest I can think of. If you could think of something else or like a comparable, rapper versus rapper contest, like let me know in the comments or in the chat, because I can't really think of anything else. I can't really think of anything else that's that comparable. Uh, and speaking of Future, apparently on the first song, "We Don't Trust You" on this new album, which, the album is actually pretty dope. And I kind of figured with Red Metro Boomin and Future, I really felt like those two together was gonna really be good. It's another one of those situations where, because of streaming, the album just feels a little too long for what they were trying to do. But like I everything I've heard so far, I haven't finished it yet, but everything I've heard so far is like enjoyable at the least. And then there's some really dope beats and songs on there that I really fuck with. Besides this song like that with Kendrick, but apparently Future um got some problems with Drake too. That's what the rumor is on the first song, "We Don't Trust You." I don't want to go, lyrics for that one because I hadn't really paid that one as much attention. But apparently they had a falling out. Because I thought it was interesting. Like it kind of hit me as I'm listening to the Like That track, and I thought it was interesting that Kendrick chose to diss Drake on a Metro Future track. But hearing that Future and Drake got problems, like apparently this stems from like way back. I remember a rumor from a couple years ago when Drake and 21 was supposed to put out Her Loss, and there was a rumor around that Future was upset at Drake basically doing a collab album with 21. And at the time, I think people kind of chalked it up as like jealousy, like Future was jealous of Drake working with 21 like that. But now people are saying that maybe it was more of like Drake trying to use 21, and Future saw it like that and he was a little upset. That's what I saw. Like I said, a lot of this. I mean, even the song where they say Drake is, I mean, Future's dissing Drake. That one is like really vague. Like, like that could be one that you could kind of like pass that off as like people reaching or something. But the rumors have been out there for a minute, so I could definitely see I could definitely see that being a thing. But I thought it was interesting that Kendrick decided to diss him, but knowing that there's a possible riff with Drake and Future, and then Drake has not been shy about it at all. Him and Metro have been kind of throwing shots at each other on IG for a good little bit. What really is more like Drake has been taking little petty shots. Metro in an interview said that he took Drake off of a song, or Drake wanted to be put on a song, and he told him, "Nah, like we're not doing that." And apparently that, like, I don't know, it's kind of like maybe because Metro told Drake no, and that all of a sudden caused a rift between them. And apparently this Future Drake thing really started like over a girl. Uh, that's like mad petty. And I could see all three of them saying, "Oh, we have a problem with this nigga. We're really gonna take it to him on this record." So I just thought that was interesting. That was a really well played move in my mind, because I was like, if Future and Drake are cool, I don't think he lets Kendrick diss Drake on a record of his for their album, for him and Metro's album. Even if we already know Metro and Drake got a problem. We already know that Kendrick got a problem with Drake. But even then, I don't think like Future would sign off on that unless he also had a problem with that too. I mean, who knows? He could say, "I don't care. This ain't got shit to do with me. I'm cool with everybody in the room." But like, I don't know. I just feel like that wouldn't fly. Like me personally, that wouldn't fly with me. Like, I don't want to be dragged into something with somebody I'm cool with and be doing a record with a nigga and y'all both don't rock with each other. I won't want to do a record with somebody and let him diss my boy that I'm cool with unless also got a problem with him. I just wouldn't do that. But I mean, who knows? But that's just kind of my suspicion with that. Like, I feel like Metro has a problem with Drake, Kendrick has a problem with Drake, and Future has a problem with Drake. So that's why they did that record. Um, and like people were asking like, where did this come from? Like, why is Kendrick deciding to take a shot at Cole and Drake now? And even on the song, because on like that verse, he mentions first person shooter. And in that song, when they mentioned the big three, it was more of a complimentary thing. At least that's kind of what I took from it. Like, maybe there's some underlying, uh, you know, bar in there or something that might have been taking a shot at Kendrick that I just didn't catch. But when he mentioned big three, it felt more like a complimentary thing. And people was wondering like, why is Kendrick taking a shot at Drake now after all this time? And I can't remember. I remember like I had, you probably look it up. I usually have like these clips and stuff already archived or something when I do a live stream like this. But literally, like, the idea of doing the stream was like really last minute. But I remember a while back, and it was on one of the tour dates. It might have even been with Cole, because I know Drake and Cole have been touring together lately. And like on that tour stop, Drake said something to the effect of, I got to keep giving y'all music. I'm not gonna go away for like 5 years and not give y'all music. I'm just not like that, or something like that. And I remember watching it at the time and thinking that was a shot at Kendrick. That was a shot at Kendrick. There's a lot of artists that people are looking up, like, where are they at? Like, why, like Schoolboy Q just put out an amazing album, but he had been gone since 2019, before Blue Lips. It was 5 years since his most recent album was Crash Talk. And there's a lot of artists that you're like, damn, where's such and such going? Like, I know Rap City about to put out her first album in like forever. People are like, yo, where are these artists at? But I immediately said, that's a shot at Kendrick. And there's people have always said that these guys have been taking subliminal shots at each other for years, and that felt like the most direct like shot at Kendrick that Drake had ever done. Like, there might be some other ones out there somewhere, but that was the most direct shot to Drake for me. To From Drake to Kendrick to me. And I think that's might have been the spark. That might have been what really kind of like, all right, we're gonna go from having a cold war against each other, taking little jabs, subliminal, you know, com- completely ambiguous shots at each other, to now I'm coming straight at you, like the for all the dogs getting buried. Got all these K, got this K for these nines. They gonna meet Pet Cemetery. That line is the first person shooter mentioned. It was the your best work is a light pack, nigga. Prince outlived Mike Jack. Like, with Drake always mentioning how, I mean, just recently he got more number ones, beat Michael Jackson's record for the most number ones of a solo male artist. And it's like one of those things. Like, it's like these, you can't. And I would be so upset if Kendrick tried to like play the shit off like he was just rapping. Like, nah, bro, you would take a shot. There's no way. There's no way you could try to play that off. Like, like, motherfucker, the big three, nigga. It's just Big Me. Yo, Kendrick was going off. Like, there might be some other the bars. Like, there's a 40 water line on there, so I'm thinking like either that's that could be a play on 40 water with E40, and they'll also be talking about 40, Drake's producer. There's some other like little subliminal things in there that could be interpreted as a diss, but it could also be nothing. But those particular lines are the ones that I'm like, nah, you're talking about this man. You're talking about this man. And I would be so disappointed if you try to play this shit off like, nah, I was just rapping, man. You know, I'm just out here spitting. Like there really ain't no beef there. Like, bro, don't play with me like that. That would be some shit that'll make me mad. Like, I'm just, as a fan, as a hip hop fan, like, yeah, I would that would just be like a ugh, especially with all the excitement and buzz around this. That would be really annoying. That would be really annoying as a hip hop fan. And you see, this whole time I've been talking about Drake, and I really have not even mentioned Cole. And it really just kind of boils down to, I think, if nothing else, I'm still under the impression that Drake, I mean, not Drake, Cole caught a stray from Kendrick just because he's standing so close to Drake right now. And I think it's more of like a pick a side kind of thing. Because he did do that line. He got the long line about the walking around with a stick. It ain't Andre 3K. And, the big three line, of course. Like, just, saying it's just Big Me, dismissing the other two. And there might be some other ones in there. Like I said, it's a lot to try to dissect in that verse. Um, but I really don't think the smoke is really for Cole like that. I think he just kind of caught a stray because they've been like him and Drake have been really super buddy as of late. Like I said, they're on tour together. Um, they did the first person shooter track together, and Cole has been dropping these little teasers like might delete later videos. And in the second one, Drake and Cole are hanging out. And there's just a lot of times where these guys are together lately. Like Drake was at Dreamville last year. And they seem really buddy there. There's a lot of like, a lot of them, a lot of them, connecting, hanging out, and Kendrick kind of feels like the odd man out. So, and it feels like he's the one that's taking shots. Like, he only took a shot because you're with him, and you're with him like that. Like, you picked your side, so you're gonna catch this one. But it feels like the real battle is between Drake and Kendrick. Like I said, Cole just kind of caught a stray because he's standing so close to Drake right now. But I do feel like Drake. I mean, like, I do feel like Cole is gonna respond. I do feel like Cole is gonna respond, just for the simple fact that, like, whether it was a stray or not, like, you mentioned me. You took a couple jabs at me. Like, I gotta say something. Even if he don't go full, if he don't give him a full 16, he give him a couple bars on the next track that he does. I feel like he's definitely going to say something. And Cole, like, Drake is battle tested. Like I said, he took on Pusha T. He had his beef with Common. He had the beef with Meek. Um, and just in general, like, people have been taking shots at Drake here and there. Like, Joe Budden, like, people have been taking shots at Drake here and there because he was the soft guy, and then he became the biggest rapper, like the most successful rapper. And when you're at that point, like, people are gonna take shots at you. So Drake is battle tested in that regard. Other than Cole taking a shot at Kanye, other than Cole taking a shot at like guys like Little Pump and those guys on 1985, I don't really know what Cole does in in a battle. Like, the guy is rapping at a higher caliber than he's ever has. So I'm not saying that he don't have it in him, but I just haven't seen Cole in that. Especially when you look at the people I just mentioned, none of them were lyrically on Cole's level to begin with. So even if Kanye decided to take a shot at Cole, or like Little Pump, I think, put out a song about Cole and it was whack. And I mean, but like, kind of, what do you expect, kind of thing, right? Lil Pump took a shot at him, it was whack. If Kanye decided to take a shot at Cole, it would have been whack. Like, Kanye's not the caliber of rapper that Cole, Kendrick, or Drake are. So if so, we've never seen Cole take a shot at somebody that was right there with him, and I feel like that adds a little bit more of a pressure, in my opinion. Like, I feel like that's a little bit more pressure because it's one thing to diss somebody you could wrap circles around. Like, it's like playing basketball against somebody you could dunk on, like, with no problem. It's like playing uh video games or something with somebody like you mastered this game, and this dude is like playing it for the first time. He don't know the buttons. He don't know, anything about it. Like, you could go in those type of situations, and like you could even take it easy on him. You still handily like destroy this guy. It's another thing when you take on somebody that's just as skilled as you are, and maybe in some aspects maybe even more skilled than you are. There's a certain level when you know that you and this person, like you really got to come correct, because this person, like, it really gave it to you. You really gonna have to give it to him, because you know they're gonna come back, and it's gonna be something that is gonna be way bigger than what they did before, and you're gonna have to be able to top what you did before and top what they're doing. Like, it's a different pressure. It's a different level of pressure. So I don't know. Not saying that Cole don't got it in him, but I haven't seen it, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens at this point. If I had to pick, like, in this big three triple threat match that we're seeing, or it's really like a handicap match, it's Drake and Cole versus Kendrick at this point. Uh, I'm personally, like, just going off of that, going off that verse, going off of something like Control, when Kendrick decided, and that wasn't even really like no beef shit. That was just him, like, just basically calling them out, calling everybody out. Versus like the evidence, like Cole and Drake. Like, I really got to go with Kendrick on this one. Like I said, Cole is kind of a wait and see. Like, I'm waiting to see, how he's gonna approach this, if he's even going to. Because that's also too, like I said, he kind of caught a stray. Does Cole even respond? Because I feel like the real battle is between Drake and Kendrick. Like, I think he will. Like, just because a he's that kind of rapper that comes from that era, and he has the skills. Like, he's been rapping on a whole nother level than he ever has. And he's from that era, and he has that competitive drive as an MC. But does he but even with that, there's still a level of, like, this might not even really be my battle. This might be the battle between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Like, maybe it's not even worth me getting into it. I think he will. I personally think he will, but I could see that being a reason why not to approach it, because it's really a problem with them, and you just caught a stray because you standing next to one a little closer than you are standing next to the other. So we'll see. Drake, like I said, the last couple years, Drake has been putting out some of the worst music I've ever heard from him in his catalog. All the dogs, it was a lot better than like CLB. Honestly, never mind. But I it's still not on the level of Drake in his prime. That's not So Far Gone. That's not Nothing Was the Same. That's not Take Care. Even if you're reading This Is Too Late, this is not the same Drake. Kendrick has not, after all this time, his skill level has not waned at all. Even if, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was a little polarizing, it was more so because of the subject matter. Some of the songs, like Crown, didn't really hit like that, to be honest. But like, the pen was never lacking on that. It was on the same level, the same caliber that it's always been. And even me being from Fayetteville, I've always been a bigger Kendrick fan. Like Kendrick to me is like 4 for 4 with main albums. You could even say 5 if you want to add like Section 80 on that. Like Cole's been putting out some of his best work now, but he kind of stumbled from the start to me. And Drake is kind of the opposite. His best work came at the beginning of his career, and it's slowly been decreasing since then. Like, so if I had to pick between the three of them, I I would probably have to put my money on Kendrick at this point. But we'll see. I can see Drake giving it to. I mean, no, I can see Cole stepping up and really like giving it with the same gusto and could be there neck and neck with Kendrick. I don't really see it with Drake at this point. And besides how like vicious a track like Story of Adidon was, like his uh response with Duppy Freestyle was cool, but he thought he could play with Pusha T like that. I really hope he doesn't think he can play with Kendrick like that. And Kendrick kind of out rap Pusha T on Nostalgia back in the day. Like that, he's on the same level or even beyond, like surpassed the level of a Pusha T. And Drake was handily defeated by that. So unless the guy really learned from that battle from 2018, I don't see it for him. I don't see it for him. But this is an exciting time in hip hop. Like this is the kind of energy that hip hop has been needing for a few years. One last thing I wanted to talk about, and we can wrap this up. Cause like I said, this is the energy that hip hop needs. And I was watching a video, FD Signifier, I think that's his name. I watch his videos from time to time. Not necessarily the biggest fan of his. I would probably say I agree with him more often than not, but maybe about a 60-40 split. But I like his approach. Even when I don't agree with him, I still like the stuff that he has to say, or at least like the way he articulates it. So, and there was a little snippet on his B-Sides channel that he posted, and it was talking about why like women rappers have been killing the game lately over their male counterparts. And his main point was that the women have been rapping with a certain urgency. They have a certain like not necessarily aggression, but a certain energy behind what they do, like a Lotto, like a Cardi B, like a Meg The Stallion, like a Glorilla. Like they have a certain like energy to their stuff that makes you excited and makes you want to listen to it. Whereas like the male rappers, even on some of the hardest production, like the hardest, like hard knocking 808s and like crazy dark synths and all this other stuff, like even on that kind of production, everybody is so too cool. Everybody's so laid back. Like it's just they really like monotone, almost mumble shit. And even if I don't like it, right? Even if I'm not that big of a fan of it, like I'm not gonna discredit it. But I think just being vibey and stuff, like it's cool for TikTok. It's cool to maybe even listen to, when you're in the car and out and about. But like nobody buying tickets to see that shit. Like if you're that nonchalant and like you don't give a fuck about what you're putting out, like there's nothing about that kind of energy that makes me want to buy a ticket to see you live. That's why a lot of these shows is getting canceled. And when he said it, it made so much sense to me. It made so like, cause I listened to it And even if I like it, I'm not paying money to go see that at a concert. Like I mentioned Dreamville earlier. I remember when the lineup for Dreamville came out, and there was like this giant wave of disappointment that I just saw all over my timeline, all over my feed. And then there were people that immediately said, "I'm trying to sell my ticket." And I'd never seen that reaction to a Dreamville announcement, but it's kind of it's kind of that same feeling. Like I'm looking at the artists, and even like I like a lot of the artists that were on the lineup, but I'm not paying that kind of money to go to that festival and see them. And I think, and it just kind of shows like to kind of tie it back into like this Drake, Kendrick, and Cole. Even Drake at some of his mellowest would still have a certain level of excitement to his stuff. Like maybe not now, but like his earlier stuff. Like my favorite Drake album is Nothing Was the Same. Still is my favorite, like top to bottom Drake album. And one of the biggest things that I loved about that album and I thought was an improvement, like the R&B, moody R&B. Well, I said R&B already. The like the real smooth R&B, mellow, moody Drake was balanced out with the energy Drake, like the rapping, a little bit more aggression, assertiveness behind his music. Like it was a good balance of both on that album. That's probably the best he had ever balanced it at that point. And I felt like I it before I could get too caught up in one mood, I had another, and then it was just like it kept the flow and the pace and everything going. And then Drake and Kendrick and Cole all have those those modes, and that's why they're at the level they are. That's why they're considered the big three from their generation, and that's why we don't really see a lot of big stars coming after them. Like there was some people complaining, like, why are we still talking about Kendrick, Drake, and Cole? They've been around for like 10 plus years at this point. There's nobody taking their spot. And I think it's because of that lack of energy, that lack of enthusiasm that you hear in the music, and in return, the lack of enthusiasm you get from the listening public. I can listen to it, I can put it in the background, I can vibe out to it, but it's not getting people out of their houses and into the arenas and into the venues to hear that shit and to watch you lazily walk across the stage and perform the song as nonchalantly and with the lack of energy that you put into making and performing these records when I listen to it on a streaming service or wherever. So we need more of this. Long as nobody gets shot, as long as nobody get beat up, as long as nobody dies or anything like that, I say this is the kind of energy that we need to continue to have in hip hop. And I mentioned the ladies. Just a quick note: Joe Budden tried to like say that there was a double standard when Nicki wanted to come out like this with her diss records and stuff like that, versus how it's being received when somebody like Kendrick gets on a record and starts throwing shots. There's a clear difference, and I can tell it to you right now. First of all, it really ain't a thing of like the women beefing with each other, right? It's the quality of the music for one, because that Bigfoot song was ass. Like nobody had a problem with Meg and the Megan's Law line. That was a very well received bar. I still applaud that shit. She was killing that. That was a clever comeback that obviously got under Nicki's skin to the point where she couldn't focus long enough to put together a cohesive record. And two, it's kind of like, where is this coming from? Like Kendrick kept it straight bars. with this record. Straight bars. There's no personal jab. That it might be a personal problem between Nicki and Meg, but to talk about somebody, it was not to the point where you should be talking about somebody's dead relative. And honestly, like I said, I'm in beef. Nothing is really off limits. But if the song is ass, I think we're gonna be more focused on how unnecessary it is versus the quality of the diss, right? Because I don't think it's a men women thing. If Lotto and Glorilla decide to go at it, as long as they got dope bars and they have dope songs going back and forth, then I will be here for it. Just like Kendrick and Cole and Drake, it really just matters the quality of the music. So that's just my quick little tidbit. I'm not even really going to go into it further than that. But yeah, it's the quality of the music and it's the context of what this beef is about. And I think just Nicki is just completely unlikable. Like, what is that? Like that Red Ruby track? Apparently she was dissing people on that one. And like I remember listening to it like, yo, this is the kind of rapping that as somebody that just a fan of hip hop and was once like a Nicki fan when it came to her rapping and stuff. Like that was like, oh, that's the Nicki that I want. And there's some glimpses on that on Pink Friday too. But yeah, Bigfoot wasn't it. So just keeping it strictly on that. And I also think it's your fan base too, because there's a lot of like, when it comes to, you know, disc records and stuff, I really don't see a lot of people that listen to a Nicki or even Meg for that matter really into rap battles and stuff like that. Like people who listen to Kendrick Cole and Drake love disc records, love seeing rappers go back and forth. I don't. I mean, I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't really know if a Nicki fan, a Megan fan, are really here for the disc records back and forth. They just really here for the women kicking it. I think was more of an emphasis of women coming together and working together and existing in harmony than there is like this whole like beefing thing back and forth. So that's just my take on it. That's all I have to say on that. Oh, and poor Big Sean. I'm sorry that Kendrick ruined another rollout for you. Um, the freestyle you dropped was dope. Precision, especially the video. If you have not seen the video for Precision by Big Sean, make sure you do that because that record is dope, and then the video that accompanies it. I can't talk. Accompanies it is also dope as hell. So make sure that y'all check that out. But like, yeah, I hate that Kendrick. Like we talking about the big three. We talking about these guys going at it. Like there's a secret war between Big Sean and Kendrick that I really need somebody to explain. But I don't know enough about it to really speak on it myself. But it just feels like there's something there. But yeah, man. Like with Cole, Kendrick, Drake going at it. Big Sean putting out great music. Wale put out a great single not too long ago. Big Crit put out a dope EP. Either beginning of this year or late last year. I can't remember when it came out. I just remember if it came out late last year, I didn't listen to it until January. Didn't know about it and didn't listen to it till January. But I remember listening to it, and that was dope. Like man, my college hip hop era is firing on all cylinders. And like when people say, including me, I fell for it too. People say that hip hop is in a bad state, hip hop is dying. I think just I think the people that care, the people that are still top tier, the people that are still like that still care about the craft are gonna prop this shit up. Hell, Big Daddy Kane was on IG and did a dope ass freestyle at his age. And he's been around since the 80s. and he's still as sharp as anybody walking this earth today. When it comes to his pen, when it comes to his flow, his lyrics, that alone gives me hope. So I hope that 2024 keeps his energy up. Shout out to Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp. I feel like the interview they did at the beginning of the year just kind of set the wheels in motion, and the energy just keep going, just keep it going. So yeah, man, that's all I got to say on it. I really wanted to make sure that I put my 2 cents in on this because I love this shit. This is the game I love. This is the hip hop I love right here, and I just hope we get to see more of this. I hope to see Drake. I hope to see Cole respond to this. Like I hope that we really get a full battle royale, man. Let's do it. I'm excited. I'm here for it. But yo, that's my time. It's your boy Vinny Dangerous. We're on the road to DTIO. More will be revealed soon, so make sure you follow me on Instagram at Vinny Dangerous, VINNIE, Dangerous, all one word. Same thing on Facebook, same thing on Threads, on YouTube, wherever you can find me, I'm there. Oh, and www.vinnydangerous.com is on its way back. Just sites made, just working on getting my domain transferred to my new website hoster. So that will be up soon. So make sure that you want to look out for that. But until next time, it's been your boy Vinny Dangerous, 1430 Live. Much love.